Great. So I want to just first of all welcome everyone to the How to Start a Campus Kitchen info session. My name is Matt Schnarr, and I'm the Community Development Coordinator here with the Campus Kitchens Project. Just so you know, this presentation, you're first going to just learn a little bit briefly about what exactly the Campus Kitchens Project does and what our Campus Kitchens typically do. And then we'll learn about how to actually start a Campus Kitchen of your own at your own school, which will be the main focus of this info session. And you're going to learn also about all the benefits of having a Campus Kitchen at your school. And then we'll conclude, like I said, with as much time as we need for questions. And then I'll also be giving you some really concrete next steps to move forward with the process if you're interested in learning more and really taking this to your campus. So again, this info session can be helpful for whether you're a student, you're a staff, administrator, dining service representative, or you're just part of a community organization. So anyone can really benefit from learning more about what we do. So to get started, though, I think it's really important to understand the big picture of what the Campus Kitchen Project is all about. So we're going to touch on each of these basic components of the Campus Kitchen, what a Campus Kitchen is, and how it kind of came to be. So I think it's always good to set some context. So we're going to start with the issue that first led to the idea and the creation of the Campus Kitchens Project over 12 years ago. So hunger and waste, especially hunger and food insecurity, is a national need and something that I'm sure is seen in almost every community, regardless of where you're living. Though it might look a little different on the surface, have different faces, it's undoubtedly something your community probably faces, and you've probably heard similar stats to what's on the screen right now, as in 1 in 6 Americans, including 1 in 4 children, don't know where their next meal is coming from. That adds up to about 50 million Americans that are living in food insecure households. Yet at the very same time, we have about 40% of the food in the U.S. Is wasted each year. So it's costing Americans a ton of money in wasted resources. Setting a little more context here, we have other factors at play are academic institutions, and the idea of service. So across our country today, we have a generation of young people that are actively engaged in service. Where 90% of incoming freshmen nowadays have interacted and engaged with community service prior to even being a part of college, and really understand the importance of service and have seen its value and its impact. At the same time, we have about 90% of college and university campuses include something about civic engagement, something about service as part of their mission. And we know that these college students really want to give back, and we know that their schools really want service to be a part, and community engagement to really be a part of the student experience. Yet the students really want this kind of service to be meaningful, and they want to be able to see the impact of what they're doing. One other factor are just the sheer number of colleges and universities and schools across the country. We have about over 4,000 schools. Nearly every single one of them has these few similar things, one of which being an on-campus kitchen space that it's not utilized at all hours, especially after mealtime, or underutilized. We also have surplus food from dining halls and other food providers on and around campus. We have those active and engaged students that are looking for service opportunities on and around campus. And then lastly, we have a community that is the best ones that really understand their own needs. So putting all those ideas together, the national need of food insecurity, this active and engaged students, and the untapped resources on most of our campuses, it's within that mix of factors that the idea of the Campus Kitchens Project was born. So meeting needs by utilizing excess just really made sense, and I think made sense to most people. And so here at the Campus Kitchens Project, we found really the most effective and impactful way to make that happen on your campus. So our philosophy is pretty simple. Those who founded CKP realized that the need in the community is often very, very obvious, but the existing assets were going unnoticed. So they decided to really link all these pieces together so that student leaders could then recover food that would otherwise have gone to waste, and put those university and college dining halls to use after hours to then feed those who are struggling in their communities. So in addition to this really great operating model, we're also teaching students to really see wasted resources as sustainable solutions to community issues, and it's also a great leadership development tool as students really get to engage and interact on their campus and also in the community. So we believe that hunger and its underlying root causes of poverty are clearly serious issues. And we also believe that the answer to that problem lies beyond just food and beyond handouts, beyond a really top-down approach. We've seen that the answer really lies in strong leadership and robust community partnerships that are based on existing assets. And so we believe that we can really find that kind of leadership and that kind of partnership potential in our nation's schools. Again, having all those untapped assets that we talked about. These schools are really, innovative laboratories containing all the essential resources and knowledge to really study and solve some of our nation's major issues, including poverty and hunger. So now we've kind of set the context of where the Campus Kitchens project, how it came to be. Let's kind of talk about the basics of what a Campus Kitchen does. So currently we need to update this. As of last week, we're at 34 schools. Just opened the newest Campus Kitchen. So at 34 schools across the country, Dining Services designates unused kitchen space either on or near campus that can be shared or used during off-peak hours. And then last year, almost 6,000 student volunteers contributed nearly 50,000 hours of service at their Campus Kitchens. So students can contribute to the program in a variety of capacities, whether that be from creating and delivering meals as volunteers or to guiding the program as members of the campus's leadership team. Then those same students take recovered food from dining halls and also food banks, grocery stores, even farms and farmers markets, and store it on their on-campus kitchen. And last year alone, our schools recovered over 400,000 pounds of food that would otherwise have gone to waste. Then with that food, students take part in cooking shifts 2 to 5 times a week and prepare or repackage that donated food into balanced meals. So last year, again, our schools were able to prepare over 250,000 meals that are then transported and served to community partners and individuals in need, whether that be at homeless shelters, after-school programs, low-income housing complexes, kind of wherever that need is in their community. And last year alone, our Campus Kitchens fed over 9,000 clients at over 160 different agencies. That's adding over $800,000 in economic value back into the communities that we serve across the country. So you can see pretty clearly just in the numbers the impact that we're making each day is pretty immense. But at the Campus Kitchens project, we are not just about the meals and not just about the numbers. We always say that we are never going to feed our way out of hunger, and food is not the only answer to this problem. So at TKP, we encourage all of our students to think about using their food as a tool to enter into deeper relationships with their clients that they're serving. So clearly there are underlying root causes of hunger that have nothing to do at all with being hungry or with lacking food. And these need to be addressed along with meeting the immediate needs of the meals. So by starting with the meals, students are able to have a great kind of foot in the door and really start relationships with the clients that they're serving, and then they can eventually learn about other needs that the clients might have and try their best to address those. So once they've identified those needs with the clients that they're interacting with, on a weekly basis, students are able to create community-focused programs that meet those other needs that are really tailored specifically to their community partners and the clients that they serve, with including client input and collaboration really every step of the way. So some great examples of these programs that students have and our Campus Kitchens have created that go really beyond the meal. We'll look at a few of these right here. A lot of Campus Kitchens are working through nutrition education curriculum. So students have created and conduct classes, whether that be for youth, for families, seniors, really focusing on the specific health needs and concerns of the clients that they serve. We have some Campus Kitchens that work with SNAP, formerly food stamps, to get those individuals eligible for those food benefits. Also, some Campus Kitchens work at farmers markets to do different nutrition education lessons through that, and also do different kind of cooking demos and nutrition classes so their clients can really be educated on healthy eating habits. Another type of kind of program that a lot of our Campus Kitchens are working on are community gardens or community farming efforts. Many Campus Kitchens have chosen to create either right on their campus or near their campus their own garden or farm, or partner with other gardens and farms in their community, which not only provides the benefit of having more fresh produce for their meals that they're creating, but also provides a great platform for them to really engage and educate those that they're serving. And also a great platform just for different intergenerational learning and service together, where they can bring in youth or senior clients and working with the students together in the garden. We also have a few campus kitchens that work through economic empowerment programs, whether that be doing forms of culinary job training and getting folks in their community and their clients, certified and ServSafe certified to work in the culinary field, or whether that be again working and bringing farmers markets and other CSA drop-off points to their own campuses, which are creating more selling points for local farmers, or working with food hubs to really expand the consumer market for local farmers. And again, these programs are really indicative of the need and the clients that each campus kitchen is serving. So again, we have some that work with seniors and do senior wellness classes. They do a lot of different intergenerational service projects. We do working with after-school programs and mentoring. Some of our campus kitchens do backpack programs. Others do large community dinners focused on certain populations, whether it be veterans or homeless. Again, it's just a way of going kind of beyond just serving a meal and being able to hopefully address some of those underlying issues that exist in many of the clients' lives that our campus kitchens are serving. And again, we should note that since we've been doing this as a network for over a decade, we have many helpful toolkits and information and best practices for new campus kitchens to work and do these sort of programs if that's what they're interested in once they've identified the clients that they want to serve. So now that we've looked a little bit about what we do, let's take a shift a little bit to how to actually bring this to your school or bring this to your campus. So as you see on the screen right now, there are 4 main categories or groups of support that need to be fostered to really ensure that your campus kitchen will be able to be created and be able to be sustainable. Those are, as you see, school support, student support, dining support, and community support. Each of these groups work in tandem to really ensure that the campus kitchen will have its greatest impact both on the community and the school as well. And without one of these, the system really doesn't work and isn't as strong. But that being said, the way each group can support the particular campus kitchen can vary greatly depending on your specific campus and your community. So let's take a look at each group, and after I kind of talk through and explain how each group plays its role within getting a campus kitchen started, I'll give you a next step to take to really start that process on your campus so you can get started right away. These are just the first steps of what we'll talk about a little bit later is our campus kitchen planner, which lays out all the steps you would need to take in a very user-friendly and simple format and provides you with all the information and resources and documents to go about this process of bringing a campus kitchen to your school. But we'll go through that specifically a little bit later. Oh, and that is the website when we talk about the planner, I'll show that again, but that's where the planner is. So go right back to that. Let's start with school support. So having the support of your school, while it might not seem maybe the first thing you would do, is really an important factor, and again, making a really healthy and sustainable campus kitchen and making the process all that much easier. So each campus kitchen, at the very least, needs what we call a sponsoring office, which is just a place for the campus kitchen to call home. This usually falls under the Office of Service Learning, Civic Engagement, whatever your school might call that, where other similar programs might exist, but can also fall under campus ministry or even a specific academic department, like social work, nutrition, culinary arts, or even business. Some schools start their program through a class and use their professor as a sponsor, but again, that sponsor is just going to kind of help, especially through the beginning process, guide you through the different places you need to go within the university, and just helps, again, to make sure that this program is going to last, longer than just those years that the students that initially started it are on campus. So it really helps with the sustainability of the program from a long-term perspective. This is going to be the first group you really want to reach out to, and you can reach out to multiple groups to see who really has the most interest in being a part of this program, or supporting and sponsoring this program. But aside from the sponsoring office, and once you've found someone who fits that, and again, we provide a lot of great tools to really assess the feasibility of if once you find a potential sponsoring office, whether that's really going to work. We can provide you with kind of the typical things that a sponsoring office will provide, and their kind of duties and responsibilities. But once you've talked to a bunch of other, and I encourage always reaching out to as many people as possible on campus, not just those involved in service, but kind of anyone that you might be surprised who would like to be involved in this project on campus. And talking with a variety of other staff, other administrators, other professors even, to see who would really be interested in helping in varying degrees. So another really important aspect is talking with, eventually, usually after you've spoken and solidified kind of who your sponsor and your sponsoring office is going to be, is talking with higher administration, whether that be the president or provost, dean of students, and getting them on board, because one important thing that eventually they're going to need to do is be able to sign a contract between the university and the campus kitchen when you actually are ready to launch. So having their support really, especially even in the beginning, can really be helpful in maneuvering through some of the red tape within universities and getting others on board. So it's always great to approach them just to get their, just at the very least, let them know that you're pursuing this project and letting them know a little bit more about it. And we provide great resources in how to kind of pitch the idea of campus kitchens to different people on your campus, so you'll have kind of the answers to the questions they might ask and be able to have kind of an informed conversation when you're pitching that. So again, the next step of really, and the first step rather of going about school support is setting up meetings with potential sponsoring offices on campus. So reaching out to either your service officer or maybe your professor or whoever you think might be interested in setting up, having that initial meeting to really see and engage their interest within that. All right. Next, we're going to move along to student support. So clearly, students are really at the core of every campus kitchen, and while they hold a variety of roles, they really are the driving force to what makes campus kitchens run and really work. So each campus kitchen must first have a strong student leadership team consisting of anywhere from about 5 to 10 students. This leadership team is not only really important during the planning phases of getting your campus kitchen off the ground, but also once you're up and operating, having a really strong leadership team is crucial in making your campus kitchen really impactful and strong. So the leadership team guides the campus kitchen. It provides the structures and support on campus. It connects other one-time volunteers and other staff and community partners all together. I mean, they really are the ones leading and running the program. And it's a very student-driven initiative, regardless of staff presence and the sponsor and their role. It really is meant to be something that students are leading. So the leadership team can come from, again, as I said, a class, maybe a department can pull a few students together. It can be an existing club or organization. Many campus kitchen leadership teams end up applying to become an official club or organization. It's not a requirement, but it does often help with getting either funding or just the organization of being a part of those groups on campus. But you can work through an existing club or organization, or you can just recruit from the general student body to see who might be interested within the students in either hunger issues, food waste, sustainability. There's a variety of topics that students are drawn to with the campus kitchen that may not even, again, have anything to do with food. It might be that they're into cooking. It can be a lot of different things. So clearly, again, students besides just the leadership team are also heavily involved with just being the volunteer base. Again, we have daily operations in some kitchens where they're either recovering food, cooking food, delivering food, and those are all staffed by students. So that's, again, another really important aspect of having really vast and broad student support on campus. Students eventually will have the opportunity, ideally, to once they've been a one-time volunteer, to move up and get more leadership responsibility, whether that be they run or lead just one shift, or whether that be they become a chaired position on the leadership team, in charge of maybe something like fundraising or special events or volunteers, or however your campus kitchen might be structured. But again, there's lots of opportunity to kind of grow within the organization through the years of being a part of the campus kitchen. Here. Again, to touch a little bit more on leadership structures, like I said, regardless of the structure, the student leaders are really going to be the driving force, but we have kind of a few different models of the way the campus kitchens typically are structured. Again, we have just purely student-run campus kitchens with a sponsor, a staff sponsor. We have some schools that have a part-time staff, whether that be staff within a certain department or a grad student or an AmeriCorps Vista, but they have some some of their role is involved with a little more heavily within the campus kitchen. And then we also have some schools, some of our older schools in particular, that have, the school has seen the value of the program so much that they've decided to institutionalize a position that they, on campus, to really run the campus kitchen. But even again, in those scenarios where there's a full-time staff, they still have a student leadership team that still has a really large role and say in how the campus kitchen is run. But having that staff capacity clearly can increase the impact and add even more value to the program that they're doing. Since we're talking a little bit about the idea of how a campus kitchen operates and talking about volunteers and the different shifts, I think it's important to kind of look at what a typical week might look like in a campus kitchen. So here you have just an example of a typical operation schedule for a campus kitchen, especially one that might just be starting out. You'll notice first that, again, there's many moving parts to this, and each school's schedule looks a little bit different, but this is just kind of a good example of the general flow. So you notice first in green we have food recovery shifts, and anytime food recovery just means anytime food is coming in. So whether that be you're getting donations from your dining hall on campus, or that you, like these first two that you see, or you might also be receiving donations or going to get donations from local restaurants. You might also be working with a local farm and getting fresh produce from them. So those are all considered food resourcing shifts because it's food coming in that you're going to be using for your meals. So usually those are typically staffed by 2 to 4 volunteers, one that really, a leader, and then a couple extra to help with maybe the transportation and delivery of that food back into the kitchen to store it. You'll notice then in blue the cooking shifts. So that's when the meals are actually prepared with the donated food. And so that can look, again, a lot of different ways, whether it be if you're receiving a lot of already prepared food from your dining hall, it might just look more kind of like you're repackaging and repurposing some of the food or reportioning the food into specific meal containers. If you're getting a lot of, some of our campus kitchens get a lot of fresh, raw product, like fresh produce and raw proteins, and they're doing actual more cooking. They're actually cooking from scratch and creating these meals. And usually those shifts either will occur, the day of your food recovery or maybe a day after, so you really know what kind of food you're dealing with for that week. And then last, you'll see in red the delivery shifts, where there's a few different ways to do delivery. Again, we'll go into too much detail. This is something you guys would do later in the process. But to talk a little bit about if you're delivering your meals cold, you'll notice that the delivery shift is after the cooking shift, the day after, so that you have, after the cooking shift, you would have stored properly the food that you've created and then delivered those meals cold to your clients. Also, you'll see if you look on the Sunday that the delivery shift is right after the cooking shift, and that means they're going to be delivering a hot meal, right out the door, right after cooking. So again, this kind of schedule you'll be able to work with our staff and other folks on your campus to really figure out how that's going to look for you. But this is kind of to give you a good idea of maybe what a typical week might look like for a campus kitchen. All right, and again, for the next step for student support, it is to, of course, reach out to students or student groups that might be interested in forming your leadership team. I think it's the most important thing in the very beginning is getting that strong leadership team base together that really can tackle this project and also be the leaders once the project is complete. All right, so let's move on to the third category, which is dining support. And this is clearly another crucial component of the campus kitchens process. And generally, dining service provides a few key things for a campus kitchen, though there can always be exceptions. They, of course, usually will provide their kitchen space, whether that be when they're not using the kitchen after hours, or maybe it's during non-peak hours when they're still around. There's space that you all can use and utilize to create your meals. That also includes storage space, dry storage, and freezer space and cooler space. Those can all be negotiated with dining services. They also will agree most likely to provide the donated food that's left over from the meal service. That can either be used solely for your meal production or combined with other donations from outside resources. And then dining services also oftentimes acts as a kind of kitchen safety support and training the students in how to use some of their specific equipment, and also to providing guidance when students might have questions. It's clearly not something that we require, but it tends to just happen naturally. In most dining service representatives, are happy to be a part of working more closely with students, and especially for this greater good and for this issue. Oops. There we go. We have lots of different tools again to help you pitch the idea of Campus Kitchens to your dining service specifically, because we know that they're going to have some pretty typical questions, a lot of which were revolving around liability and risk management and having students in their kitchen cooking food and making sure they just want to make sure that that's happening safely. So we provide some great kind of answers to the questions we know they're going to ask, so you can kind of begin that conversation and pitch the program really clearly. And we do encourage, if you have already established connections on campus with the sponsoring office or with other staff or administration, to bring them along to this kind of meeting with dining services, so you can have kind of multiple folks from different places on campus and different voices to be able to speak to what the program benefits are for each party. But for now, we'll talk a little bit about a few typical liability concerns and issues that almost every Campus Kitchen has to address. And a few of these things, a lot of people don't know a lot of these things that are already, in terms of national legislation and other procedures that are in place to really help you all make this a reality and make things as safe as possible. So first and foremost, there is the Bill Emerson Good Samaritan Food Donation Act, which is national legislation that says that it protects all those, including universities, who donate leftover food in good faith to those that need food in their community. So again, this is national coverage and legislation that some dining service staff might know about, others might not, but you can let them know that you are covered when donating food. Even they're covered when they donate food to you all as a Campus Kitchen from their dining services. We also encourage every Campus Kitchen to go even beyond industry standards and encourage that each Campus Kitchen use proper safety and sanitation in their operations. And we have created our own kitchen safety paperwork system called the HACCP paperwork system, which stands for Hazard Analysis Critical Control Points, which tracks food from going in the kitchen, through the cooking process, and out to clients, and really allows for safe time and temperature procedures to be taken. And it's these kind of systems that we provide and encourage our Campus Kitchens to use that really ensure that we are handling food in quote-unquote good faith, like the Bill Emerson Good Samaritan Act states. The Campus Kitchens project also requires that student leaders who are leading the cooking shifts and be ServSafe certified. And ServSafe is just the online exam that any one who handles food, whether that be in a restaurant or even in your dining services, that's the same exam that they would take to get them to really fully understand how to properly cook and store and cool food, and also how to be as safe and as sanitary as possible when creating those meals. So we will always have at least 2 students in the kitchen that are ServSafe certified that can lead other volunteers through the cooking process. And last but not least, it's important to always remember that we have been doing this as a network. No problem, Christina. If you have any other questions, just let me know, and you can email me, and I can get those for you if you feel better. Last but not least, again, we as a network have been doing this for, again, 12 years, and not a single issue of food safety liability with any Campus Kitchen regarding their client food safety, because of the fact that we provide these great tools and these kind of, again, above industry standards to make sure that this food is handled safely. All right. So again, just the next steps for dining services, it's pretty self-explanatory, would be to reach out to your dining service, either director or manager. That's, you can approach those that are just working in the dining hall or in the cafeteria, and they might be able to help you connect with those people. But the ones you really need to talk to get kind of their okay and for them to really have full support from dining services is that general manager or that director. All right. And last but not least is community support. I think the Campus Kitchens project really prides itself on being a community-focused program. It's not just a typical community service school program, but I think it's really something that has its feet well in the community and understands the community that it serves. So every Campus Kitchen really needs to fully assess their community and identify not only the need, but also the assets that are there before that really is one of the first steps I encourage every school when they're really starting this venture of becoming a Campus Kitchen. So you'll need to identify and pick community partners to deliver your meals to, which we talked about this briefly when we were looking at the operations plan. And I usually encourage that, a great place to start if you don't really know where you want to serve or who you'd like to serve is working within the existing relationships that your university already has with those in the community. I'd be willing to bet that you already have programs at your school that work with agencies or programs within the community, whether that be maybe you already have a Big Brother mentor or Big Brother Big Sister mentoring program that you can then piggyback and say, we already provide this great mentoring opportunity. Would you also like us to provide meals through the campus kitchen? So, kind of piggybacking through programs that are already in existence make this kind of relationship happen a lot more easily, and I think those in the community are a lot more open to working with the campus kitchen when they already have a positive relationship with the university or college. But again, if you don't have one of those, it's always great to really, and we have some tools for you to kind of begin to assess who is in your community already, and then who can you partner with that really can best complement the assets that you're bringing, and that you can complement the assets that they also are bringing. So we really encourage that whatever relationship, whatever clients you do choose, that relationship you try to make it as mutually beneficial as possible. All right. So again, the first step here, and really could be the first step of the entire process, is to assess your community need and those assets and really pinpoint those unmet needs and finding the gaps in services that aren't being addressed already through other programs in your community. Okay. Well, now that we've looked at those 4 categories, let's go into just a couple of the logistics about the process of becoming a campus kitchen. We'll first look a little bit about the physical costs of running a campus kitchen. The startup cost for a campus kitchen would be pretty low, especially when you're getting a lot of your materials and food and supplies they're either shared or donated through dining services. So most kitchens get their disposables and hard materials like pots and pans and spoons. They're able to share those or have those donated through the dining service provider that they're working in. So costs might only be investing in some insulated bags for transportation. Especially when you're setting up your meetings with dining services, it's great to ask them about sharing those kind of materials, and also see, if they're not willing to share kind of those disposable materials like gloves and hairnets and aprons, if you are able to maybe purchase large orders through them and getting the discounts that they receive from their wholesalers. So that's, again, we have all this information, so it's great kind of to talk through that with them as you're kind of formulating this relationship that you guys are going to have. Again, then ongoing costs can also be pretty small and include just basic office and event costs that, again, can sometimes be shared with your sponsoring office. Some kitchens do buy and supplement small amounts of food to ensure that their meals are balanced. If they are not getting enough protein that month, they might be able to work with a local food bank or with maybe with their dining service provider and their wholesaler to buy a few different types of protein to make sure, again, that the clients that you're working with are having the most well-balanced and healthy meals as possible. CKP does require an annual affiliation fee to be associated with our network of $1,200. So this $1,200 provides each school with numerous benefits, including resources and tools and grant opportunities that we'll go over in just a second a little bit in more detail. But we also provide many different helpful resources in assisting to raise this money in those necessary funds. So while we're talking about, let's look a little bit more about what you're actually gaining and what you actually receive for this $1,200 affiliation fee of being a part of our network. You might be thinking, how are we going to raise this money? But the good news is we provide a ton of opportunities, whether it be from startup grants to different fundraising opportunities, to be able to cover not only the affiliation costs but also the ongoing costs and other costs of your kitchen. So what you really receive when you become a part of our national network is first and foremost program support. So you're going to have a program manager that will be part of our staff that is specific to your school and be able to help you, especially in the beginning, to really not only will they come for a setup visit, so we'll have some of our staff come and actually set up your campus kitchen when you're ready, but also for ongoing support, whether you just have questions to email or call about different things with logistics or how to set up leadership team structures or anything that you might have questions about. You'll have support from our staff anytime you really need. We also do monthly webinars on different trainings for our entire network that vary. The topics vary, but they're always something that can be interesting or helpful in terms of really growing and expanding your programs. And then we also provide, again, just different toolkits and resources and those best practices and the expertise for you to really create a really sustainable and impactful program. Again, I talked about this a little bit. We provide financial and in-kind resources. So we have connections to both national and local grant opportunities that have on an ongoing or recurring basis different grant competitions that will offer you assistance for different types of funding, whether that be just for starting your Campus Kitchen or whether that be to expand your growth to different populations. An example is we just finished a grant with the AARP Foundation to, in those Campus Kitchens that received those sub-grants, were able to then expand their senior feeding efforts and work with the elderly population, the older adults in their communities. We also can leverage other national relationships and provide grant matches or internship opportunities or other ways to provide funding. We can also provide great and really easy online platforms for fundraising. So we do a network-wide fundraiser once a year called Raise the Dough, but then also provide this platform for you to reach out to your community and even farther so you can help and have really effective fundraisers both on the ground and also online. Talk a little bit about another thing that you're going to receive. Reempower Network is a lot of student development and best practices. So we have 2 national events each year, one called Boot Camp, which is an intensive training for new leaders that come to Washington, D.C. for 3 days to learn pretty much everything they need to know about running their Campus Kitchen. And then also we have a national conference every year that focuses on even the bigger issues of food waste and food recovery throughout our network and even beyond. We also have tools, we have the CKP Pantry and other tools like our paperwork system I referenced earlier that you are given to really, again, help to sustain your program and make it be as effective as possible. And lastly, of course, you have technology and marketing support. You have your own access to email, our website, social media accounts, and also a lot of local and national publicity and PR. All right. Now that we talked a little about that, let's talk a little bit and go through quickly some of the actual benefits for each group of folks that are involved with the Campus Kitchen. So clearly, I referenced this a little bit already, but student leadership development is a huge part of kind of, a byproduct turn focus of what we do with our program. You can see here the different stats that leaders that work within the Campus Kitchen, they've learned to really, in essence, run a nonprofit, and that's really what the leadership team is doing. They are kind of running their own organization. And every student that we have talked to said that they're more likely to understand and address food insecurity in their community. And many, almost nearly half of the students that we spoke with that have been in leadership positions in our Campus Kitchen have said that their participation within the Campus Kitchens project has completely changed their career path. This is clearly more than just, it can be clearly more than just a service opportunity on campus. So the benefits to the school in general is, of course, enhanced student commitment to service, which is, again, something we talked about that most schools are looking for within their mission or their plan. They want to be able to engage their students more actively within the community. You get a lot of great local recognitions for your school's involvement. The service learning collaboratives are huge. Campus Kitchens are able to work with a variety of different disciplines and classes to incorporate their work within the kitchen and in the community. Again, it's kind of just a proven ability to really bridge the gap between your school and your surrounding community, which again is something a lot of schools, I believe, are looking to do on a formal and informal level. And again, students are prepared with some really relevant real-life experiences that not only help them in the classroom, but also beyond after they graduate. Briefly about the benefits to dining services, increased interaction with students, the school in general, and the community. Also having, just volunteer opportunities for their employees, which has been proven to increase employee retention, which is really great. They can get on-campus and also national recognition and publicity from their national food service providers. Clearly, a reduction in food waste can save them money. And also, they get tax benefits when they donate in kind. That can be counted as up to 1.5 times the cost of the original food that was purchased, which is really great. And lastly, benefits to the community, which are clearly the enhanced services for those that they're serving, because if you guys are taking care of their meal prep, then their actual cooking and providing meals, and they can really focus their time, effort, and money on their clients and doing what they do best and really empowering the clients that they serve, which is a huge benefit. So they have those financial savings as well as just connections to other agencies or other stakeholders within their community. The Campus Kitchen oftentimes becomes kind of the conduit that connects other folks in the community together. All right. So let's look at this Canvas Kitchen launch process really quickly about kind of the simple 3 steps of how to go about doing all the things that we've been talking about. All right, so first we have a very quick and easy getting started intake form, which anyone can fill out, whether you're a student or staff or community member, and just get some general information, and then we'll give you access to our Canvas Kitchen Planner. So all you really need to know is just filling out your name and email, and then that kind of starts you with the process with the planner, which I will then, I'm going to talk about and actually jump to right now. So the next step is this planner, which if I can get out of this, we will go, actually let me go back out of here. So on our main homepage, the Canvas Kitchen project, under the Start a Canvas Kitchen tab, this is where you'll click. The click to get started is where you would go for that initial intake form, the getting started form. And then once you've logged in and have access to your kitchen, your personalized Canvas Kitchen Planner, you would log in just right here. Let's pull that up, and we'll take a quick look at what that looks like. And I think you're going to notice a few similarities in terms of the categories and how it's broken up. This will load. Of course, it's taking a little bit. Let's wait just a second. Okay, we'll let that think for a bit. We'll go back to this. Again, so that, okay, the Canvas Kitchen Planner has those 4 categories that I went through, the school, student, dining, and community, and breaks those down into specific tasks that need to be completed. And then within each of those tasks, which we'll hopefully be able to see in just a second, it breaks it down into even specific checklists that really allow you to hopefully go through this process in a very clean and simple way, because this can sometimes be a somewhat overwhelming if you're just looking at it from the outside. This whole process, there's a lot of parts, but this brings everything together in one place and allows you to go through the process hopefully fairly easily. These are some screenshots. I'm going to check back now and see if we're actually in the real one. That'd be great. Yeah, perfect. All right, so having issues with our internet. Once you're in, there we go. So once you're in your Canvas Kitchen Planner, this is what it looks like. Again, breaks it down, as you see, between the school, dining, student, and community. And then each of these white, what we call cards, if you open and click them, they open up into a brief description of this card. This is how to pitch your Canvas Kitchen to your school. Then it says, read through the school support pitch number 1 in the Resources tab. So if you look up here, this Resources tab, this is where you're going to find all the different information, forms, documents, kind of everything you need, all the accompanying resources you need to complete this planner effectively. So you'll see, I go to number 1, click it right there, and then you'll see basically the school support pitch information that you can scroll through, and then even download it in print if you wanted to bring it along to the meeting you were going to. So again, but the cool thing about each of these cards is once you've completed that task, you're able to check that off that list. Let's say you went ahead and pitched your Canvas Kitchen idea to your different service or your different sponsoring office. You click that, and that card is complete. So again, each of these cards have a different variety of different things here. We see again, this is getting a sponsoring office and a staff member support. So you can go through this checklist, and it says reading different information. It can also download. This says download a feasibility plan, which you can bring along to your meeting with your sponsoring office. And then once that's complete, you're actually able to attach the file right to this card and have everything all in one place. Let's go really quickly to, let's see if I can do this. I'll show you one that's kind of in action, so it makes a little more sense. Okay, let's just try one more time. Because a lot of our schools are really, the cool thing about this planner is you're able to invite your entire team that might be working through your leadership team, your sponsoring office, maybe a few other staff members, or even your dining support members. You're able to invite them all to your planner, and when I pull this up again, there we go. Be able to then designate different tasks to different people, keep people on track. It really helps with the timeline of things. So let's look at one that I know doing great stuff right now. Why am I having trouble finding things? There we go. So we'll load up this one real quick, and then so you'll see here already we have this person has invited all these different folks from their leadership team, from their staff. They're all a part of this board. You'll also notice that they have, they've uploaded their student support letter, and they have support signatures. You also see that, it says, Kate was the one that completed this. And this activity feed down below, you'll notice that you're able to write questions both to their team and also to me and our staff here at the national office. And we're able to respond to those questions all within each specific card. So again, this is just a great way of keeping everything all in one place and hopefully making this process as simple and as easy as possible. You can see here again that they've been able to drag different people's names over to different tasks to know who's in charge of which tasks. That really keeps people in line and keeps the process moving quickly. So I think maybe some of you on the call might already have access to a planner. If you don't, all you have to do is fill out that quick form, and then you'll receive an email shortly after with the information of how to log in to your planner. And then once you've logged in once, all you have to do is go back to this page on our website and just click this button anytime. It takes you directly to your specific kitchen planner. So let's jump back here. I've taken a look at that. All right. This is all, you've done that already. Seen all that. It's really great. Great. And then basically after you've completed all the different tasks and completed every card and everything is checked off, you'll be able to have a quick readiness check call with our staff to just go over all the last minute and kind of making sure you have everything in line and everything is ready to actually launch your Canvas Kitchen. And you'll be able to also, and part of that process through the planner is to, like I mentioned earlier, is to have your school administration sign a contract with us to begin your Canvas Kitchen. So we'll go over all the final steps, and then again, we'll be able to send out a staff person once that contract is signed and to come and do it, actually set up site visit and celebration and get everything actually happening. Alrighty. So that is the Canvas Kitchen process in a nutshell. So I would want to take time now, of course, to get out of this, to answer any questions anyone might have. I'm going to unmute everyone here. Oops, if I can do that. Trying. There we go. So you might want to mute yourself if you don't have any questions, if you don't want to hear the feedback. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to either voice them now, or if you're on your computer, you can also type them right into the chat box if that's easier. I'd be more than happy to spend as much time. If you also want to email me separately, I think I can also pull that up. There we go. There's my information. So any questions at this time? Nothing? Well, great. Well, if you are all at all interested in learning more, I would encourage you to check out our website, which will allow you to then have access to a planner, which kind of, again, you can browse around through that, kind of get more information. We also have just more information in general. If you look right here, that's just about the Canvas Kitchen project, and also this FAQ is about, the planning process in general, and then also kind of an idea of how to use the planner is right here. So I would encourage you to look through that, and also please don't hesitate to either email or reach out to me if you want to discuss further kind of your unique situation or your school, and I'll be more than happy to work with you all to kind of get started through this process. And be on the lookout for different grant opportunities that we are going to be having through our network. We should be having some coming up around the beginning of the year for getting schools additional help with getting their Canvas Kitchen started. So if there's no other questions at this time, I guess we will go ahead and conclude. I thank you all for attending, and I hope to hear from some of you guys or all of you guys in the future.